It's called victory. I hope y'all like it. 1, 2, 3, let's kick it.
And good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Alec and I were talking about that earlier, how it's kind of hard to know what to say these days because everybody's in different time zones. But welcome everybody. Today we're gonna kind of get to the end of this little journey we've had the last few weeks and announce the winners of the my first annual, at least, Colonia Speedrun Competition. So before I get too far, let me introduce my guests and give some thanks. First, let me introduce Alec Turner of Buckyball.
Hi everyone, nice to be here.
Yeah, and Steven from Frontier Developments. Thanks so much for joining, guys.
Greetings, Commanders. How are we all?
Yeah, and let me start with a big thanks to both of you guys for the support you gave me during this. You know, Alec is the one who did all of the work verifying everybody's times, so big thanks there. And of course, Steven, for you guys promoting this, providing all the ship skins and everything. So really big thank you for both of you guys.
No, big thank you for both of you. I mean, we are always happy to help promote anything in game because a lot of the game for us personally as the community and you do such a wonderful job with, so we're always happy to help.
Yeah, I've said this to you several times in private, Stephen, but it's really been fantastic to see the engagement that you guys have had with the entire community, you know, these last several months. It's been really nice. I mean, this whole thing was great. So I look forward to us being the wider community doing more events like this with you guys in the future.
100%, yeah, definitely. I think it was one time I was at Fantasticon and one person came up and they said, "Wow, you seem to be communicating a lot more now since you've joined." And this is when Paige and Will were working on the project and Brett. And I was like, no, just got that extra body in. And then obviously with the different changes and stuff now that we've got Bruce, Arthur, and Paul, was giving us a lot more time to actually really be able to communicate, which is just went leaps and bounds, and it's what we wanted to do from the start.
Yeah, and it's very noticed. I'm glad other people are giving you that feedback as well because it's been really great for the community at large. With that, let me kick over to to Alec for a little bit. Alec, why don't you kind of tell us a little bit about Buckyball, and we'll get into kind of some specifics about what this was all about.
Sure. I think I've told the Buckyball story a lot, but in regard to this, I mean, the Buckyball Racing Club, we've been around since the beta, or just after beta. We've done something like 75 races, and
Wow.
we tend to organise time trials a bit like this. So the closest to this is we've had a Sagittarius A-Star run since the beginning, since forever, really. And there are hundreds of names on that scoreboard now. It's a huge ongoing thing that Reiko organises. We've never actually done a Colonia speedrun as a sort of time trial. I think probably because it's very similar to the Sagittarius A-Star run and because we already had that and Colonia came along later. So although I think it's great that you've done this, because although I think people have done Colonia speedruns sort of informally here and there and announced on the forums or wherever they've beaten the fastest time, I don't think there is a central scoreboard up until now. So it's been great to be involved in this, actually.
Yeah, I think I mistakenly at first said a few times that this was the first, Colonia speed run, and I got very quickly corrected that, well, wait a minute, no, I was like, oh, okay, wait a minute, let me reword that very quickly, right? Because that's not fair.
I mean, it kind of is. People have done it, but I'm not aware of any single centralized scoreboard. As I say, we did Sagittarius A-Star run, so it's slightly different.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And I think, I wanted to have the common kind of more official starting point. I think it was, for those that don't know, Fullerene C60, which is a Buckyball. I think that's fantastic. By the way, did that system name actually exist before you guys, did that exist and you guys took it? Do you know the history there?
Do you know? I don't. I mean, certainly Rebuy Prospect, the name of the station, was kind of awarded as a prize, I think, to Furry Cat, who was one of the Buckyball racers. Won a prize, and so we got Rebuy Prospect, and we got the two factions. We've got the race marshals in there, and we've got the furry cats in there. Whether the system was originally called Fullerene C60, that almost seems too good to be true. So
it really does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Probably renamed. It's nice because it doesn't seem like a sort of a player name. It seems quite believable that it could be a system.
That's right.
And a lot of people don't get the joke. And just go and Google Fullerene C60 and Buckyball, and people will get it, I think.
Well, and I think, you guys having rebuy prospect, I think is also great, given that's something in a lot of ways the PvPers would want that kind of name, right? So I
Yeah,
think
it's
for
a
you
great
guys
name.
to
And
get
if
it,
people
it's
go to the
great.
commodities, market, we have our rare good there as well, which is
Oh,
the
do you? Oh,
Buckyball
okay.
beer mat.
What
Yeah,
is
yeah.
the name of it?
It's Buckyball beer mat, and
Okay,
it's basically a beer
gotcha.
mat with
Oh,
a
that's great.
Buckyball logo on one side and a Fuel Rat logo on the other. Which
Oh, that's
Frontier
perfect.
were very kind to. In fact, we never asked for it or anything. The first LaveCon I ever went to, I had 500 cardboard beer mats made with the
Okay.
Buckyball logo on one side and the beer mat and Fuel Rats on the other, and I just left them out in the bar area, and completely by surprise, Frontier injected it as a rare commodity, which is
Oh, that's
just awesome.
fantastic. It's great to see when you guys
Yeah,
do that, Steven.
yeah,
So
it's really
that's
nice.
awesome. So, well, why don't we jump right in? Because I don't want this, we don't want to ramble on too much here. Some people that spent a lot of hard work and a lot of time are probably curious about their times. So let me talk real quick about what the rules for the competition were, and then we will get straight into the different categories and winners. So the rules were pretty straightforward. They were, as we just kind of talked about a second ago, we started in the Fullerene C60, so Buckyball's home system, at Rebuy Prospect. So time began when you lifted off the pad there. So as soon as you undocked to the moment that you touch down at Jacques Station in Colonia. And that's actually where Steven and I are right now. That's Steven you see on my screen in front of me. Alec couldn't get all the way out here. So we just winged up, but I'm staring here at Jacques Station. If you haven't been to Colonia, this was one of the reasons to do this. I wanted to encourage folks to do it because as you see, and let me kind of just pan around a little bit, as you see out here, it is just so gorgeous. I forget that the fleet carrier station is out here, or fleet carrier shipyard, I guess we should call it. It's just gorgeous out here. The star field is super dense. As you see right now, the nebula that we're in. If you haven't been out here before, it really is something that I would recommend. And as you're going to see in a second, it doesn't really take all that long to make it out here either. And as you get closer, if you continue on to Sagittarius A, to I should say Sagittarius A star, to the center of the galaxy, that's not that much further away. Actually, let me plot it real quick. Do you guys know how far it is?
No, I
here?
guess at 10.
I mean, no, no, not really. But,
Let me look real quick.
it's quite far. I'm pretty sure it's quite far.
It is 11,300.
It's quite far.
Yeah. So it's still pretty, it's 20-ish thousand to get here. Actually, let me plot back to Fullerene, if I can spell it. C60. It's usually pretty good about fixing typos. Which, by the way, quick tip, if you can't type a system name in, if you type a station name in, it will search by station name too. But just be aware there's more than one of that station name probably. So yeah, it was 22,163.36 light years was the entire travel time. We had 4 categories. So we had PC engineered, PC unengineered, and console engineered and console unengineered. And the reason for that was we certainly didn't feel like it was fair for console players to compete in something like this against PC players, given that PC players get the much easier, ability to use third-party tools and copy and paste in system names. So the reality would have been that the PC players in this event were just gonna dominate over console. So we split it into the two. And then we've got the different prizes. Actually, let me bring the prizes up on the screen right now. So for the unengineered class, for first, second, and third place, unengineered just wins ship skins in this one. Again, very big thanks to Frontier for providing all the ship skins. So first place gets 3, second place 2, and third place gets 1. That's true of console or PC, whichever you're on unengineered. And then the engineered class gets the same ship skins, and then I'm kicking in a $20 Steam gift card for first, $10 for second, and a little $5 one for third. So at the end of the stream, if you are on the podium, if you're in the top 3 of one of those categories, please reach out to me via Discord or via email. I don't think I put it in there yet, but I'll update the descriptions of the YouTube stream and the Twitch stream with the email address as well, just in case you don't have Discord. We're going to wait at least a day. I've got all the prizes and everything to give out, but we're going to wait at least a day before we give out any of the prizes, just to make sure sure there's not any sort of disagreement or anything that we have to cover up with any of the times. They're all very straightforward. Alec was generous enough, as I said before, to go through and verify them all. A couple of them are shockingly close. But we'll just wait, just make sure everything settles out and there aren't any disputes of any kind. I seriously doubt it in this community, but if you reach out to me right afterwards, I'll get you on the list and make sure we get back to you pretty quickly. Anything you guys want to add? I guess I should mention in both categories, we allowed neutron boosting. The unengineered class didn't allow the Guardian booster. It also didn't allow, or anything that you would have to unlock. It didn't allow the Anaconda as well. And the reason for that choice was simply we didn't want to potentially exclude people that were still pretty new to the game that would maybe be, I mean, credits are pretty easy these days, but would maybe be limited by that. By the way, I absolutely welcome any of you guys' feedback on any of this, because I'm certainly going to make this an annual event and potentially do other events like this going forward. The other thing I'd love to see your thoughts on is we decided, and I'll admit it was mostly me that pushed this, to not share the leaderboard during the competition. And there's really one goal behind that, and it was to keep people from being discouraged, right? You look at it and you go, oh, well, man, there's no way I'm going to beat that time. I'm not even going to bother. So we talked about some changes for next time. We might share the order people are in, things like, and maybe not share the times, or maybe share part of the times. We're not sure. But if you have some thoughts on that, I absolutely welcome them afterwards, right? You can put them in chat now, but if you comment on the video later, that's a lot easier for me to pay attention to. Anything that I left out there, Alec?
No, I think you've covered it. I think we should put these people out of their misery.
Okay. So let's do just that. So we're going to let each of us read them individually, read off the times. So Stephen, are you ready to go with console, with the first category, which will be console unengineered?
Yeah, you ready for this? This is a doozy.
This is going to be a big one. So here we go, guys.
So the Colonia Speedrun console unengineered is Cliff McLean with 6 hours, 9 minutes and 38 seconds, and they were first and the only one.
That's right. So congratulations to Cliff, right? It was great to see. It was great. And I didn't write down, maybe Alec has the list handy. I don't have it in front of me that has what actual console that was. Do you remember if it was Xbox or PS4, Alec?
I could get it, but not instantly.
Yeah, okay. If you find it here in a second, it's not that big a deal. It's just thinking, as you notice, we did put both consoles together.
It was Xbox.
It was Xbox. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Right. So that was console unengineered. Let's go to console engineered. Alec, you ready to go?
Okay, go for it.
And here we go.
In fourth, I'm the Stig Honest with 3 hours, 3 minutes, 43 seconds. In third, North Pin, 2 hours, 25 minutes, 14 seconds. In second, Nelly's Dad, 2 hours, 16 minutes, 40 seconds. And our winner, Marky P 4334 with 1 hour, 57 minutes, 46 seconds.
Very good. So congrats, guys. It was nice to see, at least 4 entries in the engineered console class, right? And I think for console, the 157, I wouldn't say it blows my mind, but the fastest I managed when I did it, I did it on stream and I did like a 2:15 while I was chatting and screwed up several times. I redid it later just because I was curious, and I managed a 152. Whoops. Let's go back to that. I managed a 152, which I was pretty proud of. To think of a console doing a 157, that's nuts to me.
Yeah, it's good.
That's insane.
Right. Yeah, it really is. Right. Okay. So continuing along, we're going to do the PC unengineered category. We had a pretty good list of entries here. So we'll start with. So in 12th place, and there's a couple that we had some time issues on, but the last two is in 12th place. TBM 248 with a time of 8 hours and 42 minutes in 11th. 10th, we've got Golden Knight at 8 hours and 10 minutes. In 9th, we've got Warjoy with a 6 hour 28. In 8th, Scheiber, forgive me if I get the names wrong, Scheiber Wolf at 6:12. At 7th, Donnie DeSanges, if I'm saying that right, at a 5:40. At 6th, Philip P2 at a 5:30. In 5th, Alternate Drive, I'm guessing that's maybe how you say it, or Alternate Dive, something like that, at 5:04. 4th with Trash Panda at a 4:59.20. 3rd is Stahl Muffair I'm sorry, I'm getting that wrong, at a 4:27.16. Chunka Satomi at second with a 4:19, and in first place, Bob Dubrovnik, am I saying that right? At a 3:41. And actually, I'm sorry, I should have updated the chart. That's why we didn't have another time at the bottom for Elastil, because he did a resubmission, right? So congrats, guys. 3 hours and 40 unengineered. That's nuts. I mean,
Pretty cool, isn't it?
yeah, I think a lot of people would struggle to hit that engineered, right?
Oh,
I mean,
don't
that's
To even do that.
yeah.
So that was in an App Explorer.
That was in ASP. Okay, gotcha. Because we mostly, I think most of the PC engineered were in Anacondas, right? Does that sound right to you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so without further ado, let's get to the last class. I'm going to let Alec read out the last group. You ready to go, Alec?
Okay, hang on, let me take a deep breath.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's a pretty long one. We had a lot of entries here, right?
Yeah.
So
Go
here we
for
go,
it.
my friend.
23, Dog's Body D. Some confusion on the time there, but I think we've got the position right.
Yep.
Rags Gris in 22nd, 3 hours 49. Crotalus, 3 hours 25 in 21st place. In 20th, Mac Monkey 93 in 3 hours 22. In 19th, Oberal, 3 hours 10. 18th, Warjoy, 2 hours 48. In 17th place, we had Commander Reb 0, 2 hours 46 minutes. In 16th place, it was Terrasidic, 2 hours 21 and 6 seconds. 15th, Vincor 72, 2 hours 18 minutes 42. 14th place, JR, 2 hours and 9 minutes. 13th place, and it's Geezer with 3s instead of E's, 2 hours 9 minutes. In 12th place, Commander Dr. Claw, 2 hours 2 minutes 7 seconds. 11 minutes, ATH, 2 hours 1 minute 2 seconds. In 10th place, Kellen and Alcatraz, 1 hour 53 20 seconds. In 9th place, Luna Sidara, 1 hour 46 and 48 seconds. In 8th place, Vicors X, 1 hour 36 and 48. In 7th, Captain MD, 1 hour 36 minutes and 16 seconds. In 6th, Berkay Bakunin, 1 hour 33:36. In 5th, Bonnie 58, 1 hour 29:12. And in 4th, Chattermate, 1:24:59. And the winners in 3rd, Goose Brabber, 1 hour 19 and 59 seconds. In 2nd, Smiling Knight, 1 hour 19:47 seconds. And in 1st place, Ravenov, 1 hour 14 minutes and 44 seconds.
And dude, and so guys, because that's gonna time it for a second, I'm gonna leave the Colonia, engineered class top winners up on screen right now, just as we're continuing to chat, since that's gonna go away here in a second. But wow, specifically, if you look at some of those times, looking at second,
Smiling Knight and Goose
I
Grabber.
mean, exactly 12 seconds. Right? I mean,
And if I can stop you there, I forget who it was, but until they reran and got a faster time, at one point on the scoreboard, we had 2 people that had 1 or 2, I think it was either 1 or 2 seconds.
yes,
them.
and it was
Incredible.
Bonnie 58, and I forget who he was right next to, if it was Burkade that's down in 6th, but yes, right, that was, and I want to remember at the time, Bonnie was in like 3rd, and he was in 4th, and it was literally 1 second separated them. And we did get very, very specific, guys, and checked all the times and made sure, down to the second, especially with Smiling Knight and Goose being that close together. It was just fantastic, right? It was really, really cool to see, such tight competition, and really when you look at all the different times, if you look between 7th and 8th, 30 seconds, 32 seconds separates those, right? So the times were
really
just,
nice split.
it was great. It was great. So, the next thing that I asked Alec to do, and we didn't want to tip, I'm not sure if Raven's watching or not. We didn't want to tip Ravenov's hand to let him know that he had won, but we wanted to also get some details about how he had done this. And in fact, Alec, if you next time you chat with him, if he's, I think maybe I asked you this, you might know the answer. If he's willing to let me link to his run, did you get that answer?
I checked later. He reluctantly, humorously, I think, is, you know, he sort of made some comment about he'll have to learn some new tricks for next time. But yeah,
Right,
we
if
can
you'd rather
share
me
that.
not, right? I
No,
definitely won't,
go
right?
for it.
But
Go for it.
it really is something impressive to see. And so Alec talked to them, and so I'm gonna let Alec talk a little bit about how Ravenov was able to do that.
Yeah, so I mean, I've done one Sagittarius A-star run. It was very amateurish. I just jumped in a semi-decent ship and just put the hours in, and it took me 15 hours to get Sag A. So I've never really done this in anger. So I figured if I'm going to be on this stream, people would be looking at that time, 1 hour 14 minutes, and their first thought would be how do you do that? How do you get from the bubble to Sag A in 1 hour 14? So Ravenov was kind enough to write quite a nice description of the tips, you know, the corners he cut and how he achieved that. And I think the best thing probably is if I just read it out.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. So he says, I can't speak for anyone else, of course. For me, it's really looking at every aspect of the journey and seeing where I can save time. I believe the term is marginal gains. If you can save just 1 second per jump on a run of between 80 and 100 jumps, then that's another 80 to 100 seconds. Once you go so far with that, though, it really does boil down to the number of jumps. My route was almost entirely plotted by hand. Just to speak on that, I've seen people do this before. People do this, the top times in Sag A run do this. You literally manually plot the journey, jump by jump. You work out how much fuel you're going to have at each point, what's the furthest you can jump on that amount of fuel. You manually plot the entire route, and then you have a spreadsheet with all your jump points. So to continue in Ravenov's words, he plotted by hand. He might have used Spanch to find a few neutrons between the bubble and the first fuel stop, since it's not easy to spot those in that area. Each leg is planned with the fuel stop at the right place, taking advantage of range increase as fuel is burned off later in the leg. Plotting the next jump while you're supercharging is an obvious time saver. And again, I'll just chip in there and say that from watching everyone's videos, most people are doing that. So you line up in the cone. Once you reckon you're lined up and you're going through the cone, you switch to your galaxy map and you paste in your next route. Anyway, to continue, which most of the faster people will be doing, since the charge takes, I don't know how many seconds. If you're quick enough, you can get the next jump plotted in that time. It does take a bit of faith and practice, of course. Alec calls it the Jesus take the wheel moment, I think. I did start with half fuel, but that was to make what would otherwise be the first 4 jump leg be 3, which was 3 long jumps and a tiny useless one, turn that into 3. Ravenov did something, I think maybe 1 or 2 other people did it, which was interesting. They clearly already had a neutron boost when they started. Now, the secret to this, I'll just read out his words. The stored neutron charge is not all that well known. Well, it might be after this. Basically, a supercharge lasts until you make another jump in that ship, but you can store it and have the ship transported while maintaining the charge. It only saves 1 jump, really, but that's still 50 seconds or so. So again, in my words, just to chip in. So what he did is he gets the ship supercharged, neutron supercharged, probably at Jackson's Lighthouse. You then go to the shipyard in that system without making another jump. You store the ship, switch to another ship, fly to the start line, and then get your ship transferred, which still hasn't made the jump. So the ship that gets transferred to the start line still has a supercharge in it. And we think you can probably also do that with a fleet carrier. He did carry, I asked about fuel and whether he had extra fuel tanks. I do carry more fuel, an extra 32 tons, since the Anaconda has a tiny tank for its FSD. Seems to be the best balance between range loss, only an issue at the start of a leg, number of jumps, and time spent scooping. The build, I guess we can probably get a share of this later, maybe a Coriolis link or something. Build
Yeah,
is
that'd be great.
Jumper, a basic jumper conda, so lightweight everything, no shield, crap power distributor, plus some extra fuel and some AFNUs with premium synth. He did use Super Cruise Assist for the final run. He didn't on the first because we don't normally allow it in Sag A, but when it realised that other people were doing it, he used Super Cruise Assist. Gets you a few seconds at the end because you can drop out right next to Jax. Did save a little time. Oh, and he confesses that he did mess up the landing, which wasted 10 seconds or so. So he reckons it can go faster. So there you go. That's how you do it.
Yeah, and to reiterate, like the one thing that just when we saw his when I looked at his run, I'm looking, wait a minute, how's he jumping for 300 his first jump? And it dawned on me,
Yeah.
and I've seen a few things in chat, so I just want to again touch on that. That there's two ways that we thought of to figure it out. They're both basically the same. You go get charged, and when you land, even if you switch to another ship, and I think this is fascinating, your current ship stays supercharged, right? So you could land on a carrier, jump your carrier to the home, to the starting system, and then fly over. Or if you didn't have a carrier, you could do what Raven did: land, switch to a ship, fly to the start line, ship it over, right? Because I'll admit, I actually thought, well, yeah, I've heard you can pre-charge, and so I thought, well, okay, I went and charged at Jackson Lighthouse, and then I just tried jumping, but not a neutron jump, and you lose it, right? And I thought, oh, well, okay, well, all right, I don't have time right now, no big deal, and I just didn't go back into it. And I'll admit that I'm chatting right now with Shatter Mage, who scored 4th, and he did not pre-boost, and given that he's literally 5 minutes between 4th and 3rd, I wouldn't say that would have made the difference, but boy, it would have been very, very close. So Shatter, you definitely have a good idea for next time.
I'd like to just chip in on that as well and say, I think in Buckyball we wouldn't even allow the Supercruise assist. We try to keep it in game and real and follow the law, and we try and outlaw things that seem a bit gamey. I'm fine with this. I think this is cool. If you imagine the Elite Dangerous universe as a sort of real universe, why not? You supercharge your ship and then you store a supercharged ship. I'm kind of cool with that. So I don't have any issue with this technique whatsoever. I think it's just neat, creative thinking.
The thing that kind of puts me against that idea is the poor person who's washing your ship up for you in the hold. If they don't know and they hit the wrong thing, they might spark up a little bit.
And they're thinking, why is the ship buzzing quietly?
Right. What's that glow coming off of it right now? Right.
Yeah, smoke.
Yeah, and there's been, just to clarify, there's been a little bit of comments in chat about it, right? We absolutely considered that legal. We were very clear up front that the only things that wouldn't be allowed were anything that Frontier, right, considers an exploit or a cheat. Like Frontier makes the rules, we don't, so we go by Frontier's rules. We did discuss things like using Supercruise Assist modules and stuff like that, and that's why we did the unengineered and engineered class separately. And we also, there was a fair bit of debate, and we'll again welcome anybody's inputs. Is we debated on for the unengineered runs not even being able to use neutrons. I was in favor of using neutrons because I didn't want these times to take even longer. But there was certainly some that had the idea that we shouldn't have used neutrons either. So I welcome all of that input from you guys, right? There is a reason I'll toss out for that we required this to be done in solo. And that's because there is what is arguably a bug, and we kind of considered not really fair game, that if you're multi-crewed with someone and your module takes damage, it won't ever malfunction. So you could multi-crew with someone and do this faster, because even though your frameshift drive is taking damage, which for those that don't know, every time you do a neutron boosted jump, you take 1% module damage to your frameshift drive. Once you drop below 80%, you start getting random malfunctions that get more and more prevalent the lower and lower it gets. Alec, did you notice about where people were stopping to repair? Were they doing it right at 80? Were they going to 70?
It was really interesting. Some people were just pushing on, so they would constantly have frameshift malfunctions, and then they'd be spamming like the jump, and then finally get one with
jump.
And other people had planned out. And I think most people, I don't know if this seems reasonable. I didn't watch every single video back to back. What I did was I watched the complete first couple of minutes, the complete last couple of minutes, and then I sort of tended to use the thumbnail preview and pick some key moments. So so people know how I judged it. I did in particular look out for moments when I could see the right-hand panel was being opened, because I wanted to make sure that the FSD was being damaged. Most people were kind enough to include a moment at the beginning where it was obvious they were in solo, but I wanted to double check. So I did make sure that I could see FSD damage, and I could see moments when people were turning on the AFMUs to repair that. So I think most people did.
Yeah. Did you notice?
Only a couple, probably.
Another tip that we haven't talked about at all is, and I wonder if you noticed that people, if they synthesized a premium for their AFMU, so just to toss that out real quick, for those that don't know, synthesis allows you to rearm weapons, your life support, things like that. There's a thing we allowed this in the unengineered, or in the engineered class rather, because we didn't allow any synthesis in the unengineered class. In the unengineered class, you can synthesize a reload for your AFMU, your auto field maintenance unit. That's a module that repairs other modules. And if you synth a premium reload for that, here I'll just show that on stream real quick. If you do that, you can double the repair speed. And like with weapons, you can synthesize that right off the bat and start with a, so that your first your first refill is at 100% faster. So I'm curious if you happen to notice if anybody was doing that.
Yeah, I did see. To be honest, I didn't get it. I didn't know about this, and so when Ravenov mentioned in his tips that I read out about a pre-synth on this, I didn't really. Okay, so it gets you a faster repair. I didn't know that. Yeah, I saw a few people doing that before they took off.
Okay, good. And Raven did do that. Is that right? I didn't hear you. I just missed it if you mentioned that.
Did, yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
I imagine. I don't think there's many shortcuts that Raven hasn't missed.
I'm sure, right? And so yeah. So again, a couple people have also asked. Yes, I'm planning to hold this as a annual event, and we'll do other. I kind of want to figure out some sort of speed run that we would do, maybe even quarterly, some sort of thing. Last year, I think it was a little earlier in the year than this, but last year I did an elite rank speed run, and we'll probably do that again. I know that the current record. The record in that event was 7 hours and 5 minutes. I believe the current record, I think it's actually, that I know of anyway, that has been shared with me, and I think, if I'm not correct, it's Bonnie, who's here in Discord and placed 5th, did it in just over like 6 hours, like right at 6 hours, 5 minutes. And this would not be the, you get to use somebody else's carrier, you have to do it all in, not the Yamix 20 minutes method, right? This is like in solo mode again, unassisted, just like this was. So if you have ideas for different events like that, please, toss it in and let me know. And Stephen, was there anything you'd like to chime in with here?
I think just to be honest, that I'm astounded by the times that people have made and all the wee. It's quite a good representation of what Elite Dangerous is. It's a task that you can imagine doing. There's always another way, or a way to make the time a bit quicker, or for instance, making sure you've got less weight is obviously the simpler option. The neutron boost, which I'm terrible at, but it still wouldn't put me off doing it. But there's all those wee bits that obviously add to Ravenov's time, and it's just phenomenal to see. And again, you both have done an absolutely wonderful job of putting this together, and I think the rules have been really fair. I think the layout's been really fair, and I think from the amount of entries, I think people have really enjoyed it. So we as behalf of Frontier, really appreciate it, and thank you for doing this.
Yeah, and again, thank you for the support, for the skins. Again, everybody that wins a skin, all thanks to Frontier there, and for promoting like you did. We did have, if I remember right, Alec will correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was 48 total entries. Does that sound right, Alec? 46,
something
48.
like that. I mean, obviously, a few people have ran more than once.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, we're certainly.
And we didn't at first. We weren't going to do multiple entries, and I do think that was a mistake because clearly everybody was going to just save up their times and submit all right at the end. And once we decided to extend by a week because Stephen was on vacation last week, so we weren't going to do the stream today. We decided to extend it by a week, and at that point, it was like, okay, if we're going to let it go for an extra week, let's let everybody do a little bit longer and and be able to enter another go if they can. I also just posted the links for the full leaderboards in both of the chats and Twitch and YouTube. So if you want to guys look at that, all of this will be linked in the description of the YouTube video going down the road. I'll also go back later and put time codes in for the chapter marks so that you can, later when folks are watching it, if you watch it again, you can jump to that. Alec, before we head out here, because I'm going to keep this one a little short, do you want to talk about the current Buckyball stuff that's going on?
Yeah, actually, one other thing, or two
Please.
Really. I just wanted to, I'm not watching chat, so if we have tried to be really fair, I know what it's like. Some people have just done this run for fun, some people have poured their soul into this, I suspect.
Yes.
So if anyone feels cheated, do please get in contact with me on the forum or on Discord. It's possible I've made mistakes. I don't think so. I've double checked everything. But you know, if you have an issue and you feel hard done by, do please let me know.
I will say
and
in
I
chat,
also,
Shattermage did argue his 1 second change in his time, right? It didn't change anything.
I'll explain
right?
that. I did that to
Yeah,
a few
please.
people actually. I
Yeah,
was going to
yeah.
mention it. So to make it absolutely fair and to get an absolute millisecond, to make it so that everyone, I was judging everyone on the exact millisecond start time. What I did for every video was I would basically single frame the video and get the last frame at the start line where the station menu was still visible.
Okay.
And grab the time from that. So what quite a few people did, and I can understand this, I suppose, is they would see the time counting down, and when it hit 0, they'd hit launch. And if they were ever so slightly too quick off the mark, when the seconds tick over to 00, they've already taken off, and I would then have to take 59 as the last frame when the station menu is still visible. So some people have lost a second on what they thought they got because of that. But equally, I stepped frame by frame on the landing, so some people have gained a few seconds because it turns out it was a single frame where the menu came up. So yeah, sorry if anyone feels hard done by, but we did judge everyone on exactly the same basis there. I also just wanted to thank everyone with the video submission thing. Some people had real problems with it, trying to get video to us, and the size of the videos and the uploads. I think it's the fairest way to do it, particularly like this where we have prizes.
It's so tough.
So just thanks to
Yeah.
everyone for bearing with that and getting that evidence.
Absolutely. And that's another thing. If there's suggestions on other ways to do that, track that fairly. I mean, this is with a contest like this, I think it's pretty, I think you can almost trust everybody, but at the same time, if you did just screenshots, that it would be easy enough to do things and get around it. So we really felt like that was the only way. Maybe for those next time, realize, and we did point this out in the forums, you can always stream to Twitch or YouTube, and even if it's really low quality, at least it's being recorded there in real time, then there's no upload after the fact or anything like that. So that's one way, to go about it for future events.
Okay, cool. As for Buckyball, we're having a bit of downtime at the moment. We've just finished the 4th of a series of monthly races, so we've been pretty busy. And as I was sort of chatting to you earlier, it's just nice to have some downtime to do things like go out and rescue people from burning stations.
Absolutely.
Being focused on racing. Personally, I did just want to give a shout out to the Elite Racers, who are the other big racing group in Elite Dangerous, who are currently running a really excellent SRV race called the 8WD SRV Endurance Championship. That's halfway through, but that's due to run through to the end of October. There's sort of semi-fortnightly SRV races, long distance, so those are really good, and you can catch their streams and get hold of them in, I guess the best place is the Elite Racers Discord, which I think X will link
I just
to.
posted it. Yep. As you were talking,
Cool.
I posted in all the Buckyball links and the Elite Racers links as well. And I'll admit that's one that I'm personally going to reach out and go do. I love the SRV. It's one of my favorite things in game. In fact, it's been on my list since you and I talked a while back, Alec, to complete one of the challenges. Because to be clear, guys, there's a lot of standing challenges on the Buckyball site for things like this. You want to talk about that a little bit, Alec?
Just briefly, but
please.
So although I said we're sort of taking a break now, that's from our sort of once a month kind of organised races. We've got a few race ideas in the pipeline, but the standing challenges, as the kind of name implies, are they're always there, and we have 5 of those now. So we have the A-Star challenge that I mentioned. So people have got a taste for this from doing Colonia. You can do the same to Sagittarius A-Star and try and get your name on that massive scoreboard now. We have the Pamesh Ridge Challenge, which is an SRV challenge driving along a narrow ridge on Pamesh 2C. We've got the Cortez-based Drag Strip Challenge, which is a really nice, easy one to get into fast SRV driving. You just have to drive 10k away from the base and 10k back again.
I love that base, the way it's up on top of that ridge.
It's an awesome location. Yeah,
it's absolutely
a fantastic location. For people that are out in Colonia, if people have gone out for this race and they're still out there, there's a Buckyball standing challenge you can do while you're out there called the Colonia Trophy Dash. And there's the Iron Bucky Challenge, which is it's 3 races which you have to do in succession without any repairs. So it's quite a challenge, that one. And all this will be all this you can get to from our website.
Yeah, and I've been showing the site while you've been chatting about it.
Great, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, and the great thing about the different Buckyball events, guys, is they're everything from, like this one, which is a point-to-point, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Alec, there's a point-to-point like this one. There's the SRV challenge you just talked about. The one I did a while back was things like take off here, fly to this station, buy something, fly over here, go through this installation, go here and sell it, things like that, right? And so it was really, really a lot of fun, and there's a lot of complexity to them. So don't think that they're all just, you could argue that this one maybe certainly is very repetitive. It's just jump, right? Realize that a lot of them are not, that is not the case, right?
No, not at all. We've had a race recently which was about scanning as many different signs of life as you could in a certain space of time. We've had one recently which was basically about speed running the Guardian, what are they called? The Guardian beacons, and getting those Guardian keys. Yeah. So all sorts, loads of
yeah, and for those that have not been, just as a quick side, have not been to the Guardian Beacon specifically, it's just a site to go see in general, especially for VR players, as are the burning stations. The immersion at both of those sites is just, if you're a VR player, they're fantastic. Actually this morning released a video on the burning stations, and shooting the film for that, I had to jump into VR a few times just to enjoy it, because again, the audio is fantastic, the immersion of going in, the explosions all around you at the burning stations is really, really a lot of fun. Great way to get Imperial rank right now, and with the assumption that federal systems are going to be under attack in the future, same thing, right? So well, guys, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. For the folks that are in Discord, if you hang out for just a second, I will unlock the channel so everybody can chat. But we'll let Steven and Alec go in a second. And for anybody listening, because as you guys know, I always try to invite folks into Discord to chat with us. Since this was a little different, we didn't exactly do that this time. But if you'd like to come chat with us and ask some questions of us after now, like Mage, I see you've been really active on stream. I don't know if you're able to chat right now. Bonnie, who's in 5th, is in channel with us, so if you guys want to come chat, that's great. Otherwise, again, big thanks to Frontier for co-sponsoring this with me, for Alec for doing the same, and working through it. You guys were a blast to work with, and I look forward to doing this again in the future.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to see all the stuff that you guys continue to do.
Yeah. No, it was a blast, and I think I'm looking forward to coming up with some more fun stuff like this to do. So if you guys again have ideas on different ways we can do this, please toss them out. I am all ears. So again, big thanks to Frontier, big thanks to Alex at Buckyball, and I look forward to seeing you guys out there soon.
Nice one. Fly fast, Commanders.
Take care, everybody. Bye bye.